Welcome to the Cerebral Palsy Perspective, an optimistic look at life, movement, and doing hard things our way. I'm Chad Williams, and I'm here with my co-host, Daryl Perry.
I think this will be a great conversation because with so many things that we do our way, even if it's the hard way, this is how we take care of ourselves. So this will be a good conversation. And you and I do different things, so I think this will be really good.
Yeah, it's a good conversation. I think, we wanted to talk about pain management this week, and I think first off, the idea here is that we don't want to sound clinical. We're not medical professionals, but we just want to share some of our experiences and some of the ways that we handle pain management in hopes that it'll help some of our listeners. So I just want to start with that. And then a few key points. Everyone's journey is different and personal. What works for me might not work for Daryl, or what it might not work for, something that he does might not work for me. So, we'll share some of the things that we do in hopes that it helps. And if others have some insight, things they want to weigh in on in the comments when this goes live, we'd love to hear feedback as well.
Yeah, and it was kind of because you and I were talking before we started recording. This is one of those things where you're going to hear us talk about a lot of different things, and if you find one thing that helps you with pain management or helps the someone you love that has CP, it's well worth it. To piggyback off of the fact that we're not clinical, if you have a team of medical professionals that you're working with, physical therapists, orthopedics, any other kinds of doctors that you're working with, by all means talk to them. They know you best, and the neat thing is if you take an idea that we have here, you can take it to them and they might have something, well, that might be good, but here's doing that thing a little bit better. Again, individualized for you. But yeah, when you live with this stuff every day, like this is such an important thing that I don't think you really start to think of until you reach a certain age, when you stop throwing your body at the wall and seeing what it does. So
yeah. And you talk about reaching a certain age. For me, it was really in my early 20s. I was at a point when I was younger, I was running around, I was active, I was able to do all these different things. It wasn't until I got to my early 20s and I started working in an office, desk job, sitting around sedentary more often, that things really started to tighten up and respond differently. And that's when I started to have pain. That's when it started for me anyway. And so at that point, I used physical therapy and muscle relaxers. I had to try some different things. I found that going to a gym, that's really when I started using a gym. I wasn't really a gym guy when I was younger. It wasn't something I was into. I turned to a gym to help with pain management. And even when you do that, there's two sides to it, because I would use the gym, I would find machines that would help alleviate these tight muscles that were causing pain.
Yeah.
But then you can wake other stuff up too. Most of my pain sits in my hips, but I have really tight hamstrings as well. So I'd go to the gym, I'd do things to keep my hips and hamstrings loose, but then I would still find, pain and tenderness in the hips afterwards. So you have to really still listen to your body as well. But that was kind of my starting point. So how did it work for you as far as when you had to try to figure stuff out, I guess, or look at things differently, not really figure it out?
Yeah, I mean, so I like you, when I was a kid, I was active. I went to PT. Met with doctors. And then I had a doctor that actually had me start exercising as kind of a supplement to the PT or to the stretches that I may or may not have been doing at home. We've talked about that. But, that was starting with lifting and riding a stationary bike. And then I started kind of experimenting with other types of cardio. I heard the elliptical was supposed to be easier on your joints at the time. This was this was when we were probably 20, 21 years old, somewhere in there. That was not the experience that I had. Stretching after exercise, I wasn't big on. So a lot of times what would happen is I would be very active, whether it was from a workout or when I used to run, because I used to go and run at a park. I do 2 miles 2 or 3 times a week. But then when I was done, there was no stretching. I would just basically crash and be a pretzel. So when I started to really notice that I had to do something different for pain management, I was probably in my 30s. And it probably honestly wasn't I would stretch in the morning just to be able to kind of get myself rocking and rolling to just be able to do that, just to be able to kind of function as best as I could in the day. But recently, and I mean, we're talking within the last year with the injuries that I've had, it is now, it all starts to make more sense now. Like the routine that I have, I do things in the morning are basically to really focus on the lower half of my body. Takes about 15 to 20 minutes. And I will still do like 15 seconds of calf stretches. I will, if I'm sitting on a couch or laying down, I will grab my ankle and pull my left leg back to stretch my quad a little bit. So I'll do little bits of stretching here and there. And then also I will, when I get done working out, when I go to the gym, I will come home, grab a little something to eat, and then I'll put I'll run a fairly hot tub of water, and then I'll sit in it as it's filling up. So, I'm kind of like I guess the frog that gets cooked on the stove, little time, like lobster or whatever, not frog. Anyway, lobster. So by the time it fills up, I'm used to the temperature, and I'll just sit there for 10 minutes or so. And I found that will basically go from my lower back down and just kind of loosen everything up.
Yeah.
And if I do that, no matter how active I've been beforehand, I'm actually relatively loose for about 5 or 6 hours. Now, when it comes to stretching and even doing workouts and stuff at home, my workout area looks like a physical therapy station, right? I have the bands, I have a balance board, I have all kinds of stuff. Some of it I saw when I was meeting with my PT. I was like, oh, I want that. So that's what I do as far as day to day. It's mainly stretching in the morning, and then the tub really helps, and then stretching throughout the day. I was having some major inflammation issues. I was up to taking 6 anti-inflammatories a day, 2 pills 3 times a day with some of the injuries that I had. I'm now down to 1 pill in the morning, 1 pill at night. Probably gonna get away from that hopefully by this summer, because I don't, the anti-inflammatories to me, even though we're dealing with my body is doing things in ways, it's doing what it wants to do, but in ways it wasn't designed to do. So there's probably going to be some inflammation and some kinds of soreness there. I don't like taking the medications if I don't have to. So I try to avoid them if I can. So
Yeah. I think one of the best things that I've found, and I don't know if it's anything you're familiar with or anything that you've tried, but back when I started training for the Spartan, almost 4 years ago now, whenever I would work out more than a couple nights a week, I would really start to get tenderness in the hip area. And my trainer at the time was also trained in trigger point therapy,
Mhm.
myofascial release. And so he would put me up on a table and like press his thumbs into those tight areas in my hip. And it's a weird thing. You kind of like push into the knots for like 30 seconds until it releases, and then you keep going back to that same spot until you don't feel that high amount of pain.
Mhm.
And he did that for me for like we did it all through my Spartan training, but the first couple times he did that, I felt amazing, and I've kind of been able to go back to that even on my own. Like my hips will start to bother me, and I'm able to just kind of find those spots and do that pushing thing. And there's a couple little devices you can get that'll help you in the spots that you can't reach. But that trigger point therapy is like pretty amazing. So that's something I would recommend as well, is people to look at that. It's crazy. I would have never thought it could make such a difference. And he's like, oh, let me just try it. And after a couple sessions, I'm like, where has this been? Like I could have used this like a bunch of that. Yeah. So but I hadn't heard of it before then. Before the Spartan training thing, I wasn't familiar with trigger point therapy. I've looked a couple times, and there are some practices in my area where you can go and just get a session. I haven't explored that yet, but that's something to look at too, trigger point therapy. And then in line with the hips, I have this cool Hyperice. Hyperice makes a back brace.
Yeah.
It's for your back, your lower back and your hips, and it takes a couple hours to charge, and it Bluetooth connects to your phone. And I'll be able to put this on, get it right around my hips, and then go on my phone. And there are a whole bunch of different settings to either recovery or injury or warm up your muscles. There's so many different settings, but it's a combination of heat and massage. So this is my friend, especially right now in the winter, in these colder months. I keep it right here by my desk, and throughout the workday, I'll throw that thing on a couple times. I haven't been out for a run in a month because of where I live, but when I was running, I would even like put it on before a run to like warm up. I did run a race back in January, and I had to drive like 15 or 20 minutes to get to the race. So I put that on in my car, and I let it run for the whole drive, so that when I got to my race, everything was warmed up. So it's cool because there's no, you're not connected to cords or anything. I've tried heating pads in the past, and they're not as good. The cord will get wrapped around my chair, or I'll run over it with the wheel to my chair. It's just a pain. So that Hyperice back brace, that's one of my favorite things. So if you are looking for something for your hips or lower back, I would definitely recommend that.
Yeah, and I think I want to call it, as you're talking about products that help, anything that you guys use personally that you want to share with us, mention it in the comments. And if you can include a link for us, like just so that anybody that sees it could check it out. Because again, like everybody's situation is so different. Everybody's I guess protocol or treatment system or whatever for working through this is a little bit different. So yeah, just let us know, because again, like everything we talk about, we want this to be episodes like this actually could be more of a utility episode too, even though we're very entertaining going back and forth. This is very practical use for those of you that are listening and watching. So
yeah, hopefully things that you find helpful, and then there might be some things that you might want to try. I think along the way, I've learned that my sort of pain management plan has evolved quite a bit over time. So I would say just be open and willing to that evolution of your pain management plan in your own right as well. Like continue to research and look for a lot of these things I find on my own.
Mhm.
And then I'll have conversations with my doctor or my physical therapist to say, hey, what do you think about this? And a lot of times it helps them. Like I have another, I'll pull out one more favorite here. I have another tool, if I can fit this. This thing's kind of odd, but it's a hamstring stretcher called an ideal stretch. My hamstring on my left side is severely tight. And so my physical therapist is always telling me to like stretch your hamstrings, and they'll give me either the bands or the straps to get the stretch. But with my legs being so tight, my knees will shake, or I can't get my leg up all the way to get a full stretch. It's not effective. It doesn't work for me. So I actually did some research on my own. I knew there had to be something like, what's something I can use to stretch my hamstring to keep it in place so that I don't have so much movement. I actually feel the stretch. And I came across this ideal stretch. And I actually brought it with me to my physical therapy appointment. And they thought it was such a great device. They ordered some for their office. So they loved it, and now they use it. But it was one of those things that I found on my own. It goes back to like continuing to be an advocate for yourself as well. Like when you're able to research and look at things for yourself, that can be helpful. Obviously, the doctors are the number one tool, but you also have to sometimes advocate for yourself. And so in doing that, those are two of my favorite tools that I keep nearby to help me manage what I have to work through.
Yeah, and I think one thing that I used to think is like that this is only stuff that I would do either first thing in the morning or right before bed at night. But and kind of like what I talked about a little bit before, like I'm doing little things to kind of manage this stuff throughout the day. The other thing, and this is kind of indirect, but I've changed like the way that I work out to where if I'm doing something that is if I'm on a bike, just a stationary bike, I'm not trying to pedal as hard as I can. I'm trying to pedal like I want a good pace or a good tempo, but like it's more just for like conditioning. It's not,
Yeah.
even though that's a low impact move. I'm just, the name of the game with the pain management, with a lot of the stuff that we talk about as far as being active, I think it's just trying to preserve things for as long as we can and be as active for as long as we can.
No, yeah, I would agree. I think that's over the last couple of years, something that I've learned, even the hard way a couple times. But it's important to listen to your body, but also be in it for the long game. You don't need to, what benefit is there to get on that bike and try to go all out when you're trying to take care of yourself and get in a spot where you feel good? And so it's important to like find the balance so that you can continue to show up for yourself. You don't want to like jump on the bike and go as fast as you can, and then everything's more sore than it was when you got there, and then you're out of commission for a week, and then there's a whole downfall. So you're right, you gotta do what you need to so that you can continue to show up.
I'm sitting here nodding along as you say this, because this is from personal experience that both of us have had of trying to push through. So
yeah, it's a learning thing.
Correct though.
So I think, and even with my running toward the end of, I've learned that with my running, I've tried to go out and go crazy, and then I end up like my hips are really sore, and then I can't run for a week, and then I'm miserable because I can't get out and run. And then there's like a mental aspect to it, and it's like I did it to myself because I felt like I needed to go all out when I really just could have went for a nice run that still feels good. You're out doing something positive for yourself, and you're getting your stretching, and you're getting your movement, and you're able to show up the next day or 2 days later because you didn't overdo it. So finding that balance is definitely an important part of it too.
That's the thing. So just pacing. I think as we do on these conversations, we cover we cover a broad range of things, but we go into detail. And I'm looking at this, we're literally 20 minutes in, but like just another solid conversation, man. We covered all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, it was hopefully this was helpful for some of our listeners, and then I hope to see some interaction from it too. Like when this goes live, let us know in the comments, like what did you like? What would you prefer to see more of or hear more about? And then tell us what works for you. Maybe you're at home using some cool device that I've never heard about, or Daryl's never heard about, or others in the CP community that could benefit from. So if there's, some unique or cool thing that you do, let us know about it. And if it's really cool, maybe we'll have you on and you can tell everybody about it. So
So it's a little teaser that we have coming. Like maybe we have some guests coming up soon. You'll have to keep tuning in to find out.
Yeah, I think those are really the main things that I think about when I think about pain management. So I think that's where I'd leave it. And like I said, I hope it's beneficial.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a great place for us to stop. Again, guys, make sure you're connected with us on Instagram, and keep showing up. Like we're building a nice size audience here, and we're just a few episodes in. So it's all coming together. So another solid episode for us.
All right. Thank you. Thanks, Daryl.
Yeah. Thanks, Chad. We'll do it again soon.